Hello quilting friends, this is Linda Stallings and I'm going to share with you a quilting technique for finishing off your quilts. I have here a 47 by 38 laptop size quilt that I decided I wanted to try this on for the first time so it wouldn't be such a big project. And I remembered that I had this book that I had bought probably 10 or 12 years ago. So I was able to find it, thankfully, and it's called Twice Quilted, Continuous Line Quilting Designs, and it's by Glorianne Cubbage. It's one of the Martindale publishing books, and it comes in a little box, actually, and has a set of quilting designs that are really nice. They have stars and fireworks and Easter eggs and cherries and all kinds of really cute designs. There's one in there that has like a child's handprint, and there's one with Christmas presents on it. So the thing about these is there are two sets of quilting lines, and I'm going to show you one of the patterns. This one is the one I've chosen for this quilt, and it's called Cabbage Roses, and it has a set of leaves on a vine that you can see printed in black, and then there's another set of lines to quilt for the cabbage roses, and those are set out in red. So the first thing you do is to trace these onto, you can actually mark them on your quilt top if you want to, but I decided I didn't want to do that. And you can also use tracing paper. She recommends Golden Threads tracing paper, which I actually had some of. So this is some of that, so you can see how easily you can see the design through the quilting paper. And this one comes on a roll, and of course I bought 2 rolls, so I have one I haven't even touched yet. So you trace the outline of whichever pattern you pick, and you do it in 2 stages. You do either the black lines or the red lines on your tracing paper, so you'll have 2 sets of lines on tracing paper. And the size of this quilt meant that I needed 4 sets of each design in order to cover the whole quilt. So I'm going to leave you here and go and trace those designs, and then when I've got those all ready to show you, then I'll come back. All right, so I've got all my pieces traced, four copies of each of the 2 continuous line designs, and I'm going to show you how that's working. So when I put the 4 of the leaf vine design down, I have this one section over here that you can see has no tracing paper on it with any design. So that means I'm going to have to take part of the design for that and make a small piece to cover this section here. The other thing I've done is I've taped it down so it doesn't shift on me, so I can look at it. And I used removable tape because I can just peel it off and it won't mess up the tissue paper. I also took the second design, the cabbage rose, and laid it over top of the leaf vine design, and you match them. There's a registration X right in the middle of each design section, and you lay that on top, and you can see how the roses fit in open areas with the leaves around it, and the viney things just intertwine with each other. So those are working out well. The other thing I noticed is that there are some open spaces that don't have anything in them that I could put another rose in. in several locations. Over here, I can connect this vine with some curly cues, so that'll be how I do that when I get ready to actually stitch it out. But there are a few places, quite a few places, that I'm going to be able to, I'm going to copy this cabbage rose design and insert it into some of those open areas too. So I'm going to work on getting all of my design for the entire quilt top ready, and then I'll come back to you again. Okay, I have made that extra little piece of tracing of the design on the bottom here, so you can see that I've made the roses and I've made the leaves. So I've got the two separate sections of design. I accidentally started tracing one of the roses on the leaf pattern, so I just X'd through that. And my next step will be to start working on the quilting. And I'm going to, I believe, just leave one of the pieces of tracing paper at a time on the quilt, so it'll be easier to work with. So I will start at like the upper left corner and just leave that one set of tracing paper up there, and then I will proceed and attach each piece separately after I've quilted the first and second and third one, and on like that. So I'm going to get all set up for actually quilting the design. All right, so I'm ready to sew the outline on the second layer of the design. The very bottom, I've already done the top. There's a stretch across the bottom that's narrow that I had to make a piece of tracing paper for. So to finish the actual quilting on this, I need to do this part across the bottom. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that process. I've already pulled my thread up from the bottom and got my needle down in the fabric, and I've got the presser foot down, the free motion presser foot down. I don't know if you can tell or not, but you can see what, through the tracing paper, what I've already quilted the first time around. There's one of the leaves right there. So this is the second layer of quilting that does the cabbage roses and the loops and just a few leaves that go with the roses. So I am not the best free motion quilter. Let me put on my gloves. I almost forgot that. It does help a lot with gripping the fabric. Sometimes I do it flat like this, and sometimes if I feel like I'm not moving freely enough, I'll pick up the sides of the quilt with both hands and help move it along that way. The first few stitches, you have to make sure you hold your threads so they don't snarl up on you on the bottom. So I'm going to start on that process and let you see a little bit of that. Okay, there's not much that you have to backtrack over on this pattern. She's worked it out pretty well. So I'm just going to keep going around the edge of this rose, and it goes into the center and then comes back out. This is a very forgiving pattern to try to free motion quilt, because it doesn't matter whether or not you stay exactly on the traced lines or not. to move my quilt around a little bit so I can see the lines in the direction that I'm going. So you don't need to sit here and watch me do this whole entire rows. So I will stop the camera and I'll finish the rows up. And when I get out of that, I will come back and show you a little bit more. I've completed the quilting on this piece, and I meant to show you the last little bit of quilting and tearing the paper off, but I got so excited about being almost finished that I went ahead and did it before I remembered to do the video. So I think it turned out pretty well. I'm happy with it. It was a real learning experience, and so this is definitely not perfect, but I think it looks pretty good, at least on a galloping horse. So you can see that I've stitched the roses and some of their tendrils and loops in a darker pink color, and I've done the leaves in their vines with a green, not a real dark green, but a green. And I really like the quilting on this, and I would probably do it again, but I think I found a way to do away with the paper. I found a transfer called Transdoodle. Instead of having a waxy residue, it has a chalk residue that brushes right off once you're done with it. So I think next time I try this, I'm gonna try putting the design right down on the fabric instead of tracing the paper and doing it that way. It's not terrible to do, but I love being able to see the stitches on the fabric as soon as I stitch them out. And I think I would enjoy the process better if I did that. So now all I need to do is to bind this quilt and put a label on it. So I hope I'll be able to bring it in and let you see it in the not too distant future. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them the best I can.